what is it about Goggins' mindset as him not being a type 1 diabetic can you take and then as a type 1 diabetic relate it to type 1 diabetes and the condition?
The whole stay hard thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, really any activity I've wanted to do in my life, I've just done it, right?
Yeah.
And just figured out how to manage my diabetes around what I was doing.
Mhm.
Um, and I did that with the marathons, I did that with the sprint tries, I did that with everything, right? And diabetes in particular has made me, like, mentally hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Day-to-day management, it's a grind sometimes. You have highs and you've got lows, like, with blood sugar and emotionally, physically, um, but you have to keep going. Like, it is like, diabetes management is an ultra marathon of the highest sense in that you can't turn it off, you can't stop.
Welcome to the T1 Determined podcast, where we bridge the conversation of type 1 diabetes and endurance. I'm Joseph Anthony Marcello, a runner, a weightlifter, a mountaineer, an athlete. As someone living with T1D, I'm on a mission to uncover and share science-backed information that drives optimal performance and longevity. And as a storyteller, I'm here to explore and share incredible feats in T1D sports physiology. Let's tackle this together. Today, I talk with T1D endurance runner Arnie Bunch. Diagnosed in 1992 at the age of 5, Arnie has been navigating life with type 1 diabetes for decades. He holds a true passion for endurance sports, which recently included completing 3 full marathons as well as the 4x4x48 David Goggins challenge. Today, we dive deep into Arnie's completion of the 4x4x48, which means running 4 miles at the top of the hour every 4 hours for 48 hours, resulting in running 48 miles total within 2 days. On top of his sports endeavors, Arnie balances his career as an engineer while being a devoted husband and a father to 2 daughters. Arnie is a lover of all things diabetes, and he is here today to inspire us with his amazing story. As we build this podcast from the ground up, your support is crucial for our continued growth. Wherever you're listening, please share this episode and others with anyone you think might benefit. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at T1D_endurance, on Facebook at T1 Determined, and visit our website, T1Determined.net. Before we dive in, I am not a medical doctor. The topics discussed and the recommendations shared by myself and our guests are personal experiences and not medical prescriptions. Always consult your healthcare team and medical professionals before making any changes to your daily routines, management, or therapies. And now, my conversation with T1D endurance runner Arnie Bunch. Arnie, thank you very much for joining me today on the T1 Determined podcast. It's amazing to hear what you just recently done on top of the many things that you've already accomplished as a type 1 diabetic endurance runner. Let's just start off with the basics about how you got into running with type 1 diabetes, maybe a little bit about your type 1 story when you got diagnosed in your childhood, and then how that progressed into a athletic career of running.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Joe, for having me on. I'm glad to be here. So, I'm Arnie Bunch. I was diagnosed in 1992, way back, before CGMs, Stone Ages. We didn't have glass syringes or anything like that, but it was way back in the day, man. So no pumps, no CGMs, strips, and uh, R insulin and NPH and mixing stuff. And yeah, those were wild times back then. Um, Played sports as a kid. Grew up, played soccer, basketball, really anything with a ball or a bat. I played pretty much everything. Was a pretty good athlete. Not a great athlete, but could pretty much pick up anything and be decent in a relatively short amount of time. Did I ever run? No, I never really ran, until COVID kind of time frame. As an adult, at least this is the way I went through. I played team sports growing up,
Yeah.
and never really had an individual kind of sport. And as an adult, I was looking for something to do during COVID, so I found a bike, started running, and I kind of got into shorter distance triathlon type stuff.
Okay.
Was my first venture. So I think I've done 4 or 5 like sprint triathlons. And those are fun because they're quick. You don't have to grind out training like you're doing for an ultra.
Yeah.
Much easier on the blood sugar.
Yeah. So how many months or weeks before an event would you start training?
I was kinda always so I started during COVID,
Yeah.
so that was, what, 5 years ago or so? Um, and I kinda just stayed ready, um, and didn't really do like, I would swim once a week,
Yeah.
and then I'd go to a spin class. I wouldn't ride my bike, I would just go to a spin class. I had a bike, though.
Yeah.
And then I would run a couple times a week, was really all it was. Nothing crazy, like, intensive. Um, but I like the triathlon concept because it's 3 things, not just 1. So mentally, I could stay engaged.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
like, it's something new each time, and already you're foreshadowing the idea of, s s training to stay ready foreshadows the mindset of Goggins himself, as he's always like, if you're familiar with his literature, it's you always train just to be ready at any moment,
always
so
really, yeah.
jumping into that mindset. So, going from, like, a team sport to, like, an individual sport, I mean, I guess, like, regarding with type 1 diabetes, how does that shift your mentality on managing the condition? Because I mean, if you're growing up with, like, ball sports and you're focused on the team game, how does that compare, like, your mindset of, like I mean, I get this can jump in as, like, we can start off with how you manage if you use a pump,
Sure.
or an Omnipod, but then we can go into, like, what was the shift in your mindset with the team? Like, first, you're focused on the team winning, and now COVID, you're focused on completing the triathlon, and then once you complete one, you're maybe the next one, you're focused on completing, like, a PR or something. So how did that shift go about?
Yeah, so I was on injections when I first got diagnosed, and then
Mhm.
I started wearing my first pump I was 12, so 99.
Yeah,
And that was like an old, like, Medtronic pump. And I wore a pump throughout, until, like, last year. Last year was the first time I took, like a dedicated pump break. Um, uh, and really, I learned a lot about diabetes management,
mhm,
and myself with taking that pump break. I really appreciated the simplicity of injections.
yeah,
And really, like, there's not a right or wrong answer. Like, there's um in endurance specifically, I think there are advantages to being on long-acting insulin.
mhm,
Uh, there are downsides to having rapid acting as basal insulin,
yeah,
during endurance type activities. During sprint, kinda activities like that, probably not, but I really enjoyed, like, 1 injection of long acting a day and then dosing at meals.
yeah,
Um, and I think I will probably continue to do that. I think I'll probably continue to, um, take a pump break every year. Um, and I think my plan going forward will be to do it, um, like, if I need to lose some weight.
yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
so because the flexibility is not there with injections, right? That's
mhm,
that's the that's the one of the knocks against injections. I think injections get a bad rap, though. I think they have a time and a place and a purpose.
yeah.
But they are a little more restrictive. But if you're trying to drop weight for whatever reason, I do think injections can serve that purpose. That's probably an odd example of how I would use injections, but right now.
No, I mean, full information. I tell people this, all the time, I'm very open about this. I use MDIs. You're right, there's a lot of flexibility within it. I like your concept of having a pump, but then having pump breaks, because I mean, the more you know how to manage the condition in different ways, the better you are to manage it in specific situations. But you're right, with injections, it almost requires a rigid discipline. Like, I find there's times when I'm restricted, like, I don't want rapid acting insulin I don't want onboard rapid acting when I'm doing an endurance event. And it's great not to have the pump, so then you can have the basal, but that means I don't want a bolus for anything right before an event, and that's tough because you gotta juggle. Sometimes I wanna eat carbs before an event. You have to juggle what you wanna eat versus what you can't eat.
Sure. So, yeah, that's a great. I'm glad you brought that up. So the first time, and you said Swiss. You didn't say this. I try to say, try to be like a Swiss Army knife,
Yeah, yeah.
in your diabetes management, right? Like to be able to go. People will say, "Oh, I'm going to take a pump break," but then they will give it like 3 days
Mhm.
on injections, and then they're like, "Oh, my blood sugar's everywhere. Like I don't like this." And you gotta give it a full effort, like, you gotta give it a fair trial. Like, 3 days on injections coming from a pump, you're not gonna be, like, running full speed after 3 days on Lantus. Like, you're just not.
Yeah.
Um,
'Cause
and
it's a
you
different energy source that you it's a different way your body's soaking up energy source than what it was used to before.
Right, and you brought up the word discipline, and
Mhm.
diabetes and discipline are both D words that, we need to be mentioned in the same sentence more often because
100%.
to be disciplined with diabetes, I mean, to be on top of your injections, all of it, right? Discipline and diabetes, I think, go hand in hand for sure.
Absolutely. I love it. No, I think you're right. And again, that goes with any therapy method, requires discipline. And especially as you're shifting. So now the fact that COVID came around and you're doing these triathlons, you kind of shift not only your mindset from team to individual, but also your management styles of what you like with the pump versus multiple daily injections. At what point did you kind of transition from triathlons into marathons?
So I ran a half marathon in 21 and it went okay. It didn't go great. Um, I didn't even really do like a bunch of specific training. I was just kind of out running, and then I was like, "Hey, I signed up for a local half marathon," and then went and did it. Um, I transitioned to doing fulls kind of in the like Thanksgiving time 2 years ago, like
Or
2023.
yeah,
I kind of just decided like I think I'm going to do a full. And that was really all the thought that went into it. Like I didn't put a whole lot of like, yeah, I need to do this because of this, this, and this. I was like, I should do that. I can do that and I should do it.
mhm,
Um, and so I started training and I had so naturally like I'm a competitor, right? Competitor with myself, right? So
yeah,
and that's what I really like about the individual sport aspect is it's you and the stopwatch. Stopwatch doesn't care that I have diabetes. It grades time exactly the same, and I love that aspect.
yeah,
To be on a level, fair playing field with diabetics and non-diabetics, right? The
yeah.
stopwatch is gonna tell it is what it is.
It's like
Start and stop.
time does not discriminate in who are you gonna be within that time,
Right.
you know?
Yep. So I kinda just got the idea that I was gonna do a full. So I started training. I'd never run more than a half before.
Mhm,
Um, and I did so in the spring of 24, I did a half marathon in April as part of my training, and then I did my first full in September.
okay.
Um, yeah.
That's a
It
decent amount of time to train.
yeah, I wanted to give myself plenty of time and, and that was when I took my pump break, right? So I got to the point where I was like, uh So I didn't plan to talk about low carb, high carb, and fueling and all that,
Yeah,
but there's this big, like, low carb is the best management style for type 1 diabetes.
yeah.
And, you know, it has a lot of merit to it. But if you're gonna try to do endurance sports, you cannot. You can't be low carb. Like
It's like you need I do advocate this a lot. It's like I'm obviously I respect every single style, from
Sure.
management to diet style. But I agree with you, there comes a certain point where the body needs the carbohydrate sources, and it can't pull it. I mean, the body can try to pull from protein, and the body can use other sources such as ketones and creatine, and collagen synthesis, but you need that kind for so, like, for long endurance events, maybe if you're thinking about, like, the explosive triathlons, that can go hand in hand because your body can use, that source right away, the fast twitch. We could get all into into
Yeah, right.
that science, but I'll try to stray away from it just to keep it simple. Um, but the longer you go, the more your body needs carbohydrate sources, and you're right, it's like when I was like marathon training and I was trying to train for endurance events, it's like I wanted to stay lower carbs and then I would just get depleted and I would get burned out. And
Yep.
it's like, all right, I need carbs. And then I ate too much. So I went the opposite direction and I like ended up bulking up and I was like, all right, I need to cut. So I found somewhere in the middle. What was that journey like for you? Kind of, it seems like you jumped in experimenting. So you started training for this. You realized that like maybe the pump isn't the best option for me to train for the marathon. And then also at the same time figuring out your diet.
Yeah. So I started training wearing a pump,
Mm,
and I was wearing a T Slim and a G6 at the time, and training was going pretty good. And then I got, I brought up low carb a little bit ago, and I would not say that I was low carb. By the way, I have no idea what low carb
yeah.
means. That's like a total, if we want to go down that rabbit hole, you can. Um, but I got to the point where I was having conversations with people either on Instagram or on X or wherever, and they're like, you know, uh, low carb is the best management style for diabetes. And it's like, well, what if I'm doing endurance activities? That can't possibly be the right answer in order to perform. Like if I want to actually perform,
Mhm.
I have to have a fuel source that's not proteins and fats. So I actually for my first marathon, I only ate carbs while I was training. I had about and to correct lows, obviously, but like
Yeah.
I was aiming at like under 50 carbs a day
Okay.
in a non-train. But I would while I was running, I'd consume like, if I'm running for 2 hours, I consume 110.
That was gonna my first question was, were you experiencing a lot of lows? And did most of your carb sources at that time come from the lows or come from replenishing?
I don't know that I experienced a lot of lows, but like with fast acting insulin specifically, and this, like you have to fuel or you're going to be low.
Yeah.
Like you have to.
Yeah.
Um, so that like this isn't to disparage the low carb community, but the low carb community was like, well, you can be low carb and still eat 250 grams during your activity.
Mhm.
And that would still be considered low carb if you're not eating low carb outside of training,
Yeah.
which I have a really hard time like saying like, oh, I ate 400 carbs a day. 300 of it was while training. Anyway,
Yeah.
the mental gymnastics, right? It doesn't make any sense. So my first marathon prep, I did. I trained low carb, and I also like coincidentally like got sick right right like a couple days before I had bronchitis and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Um, so first marathon was a complete mess, but also in that time, so I came off my pump when I went low carb.
Mhm.
So I trained with Tresiba and Humalog, right?
Yeah.
And I love Tresiba. Gosh, it's so good during endurance activities specifically.
And what elaborate a little on why, as opposed to something like Lantus, it's a little better for endurance.
I mean,
What you found it to be.
it might be a little better than Atlantis. So I haven't
Yeah.
used Atlantis in a long time, but
Yeah.
I used Tresiba. Okay, that's just what I asked for. It's got that long, flat profile where there are no peaks. It starts working in a couple hours and then holds on for like 30 hours, right? It's got a
Yeah, so
long,
okay, so
flat
Tresiba is the
profile.
one that goes beyond the 24-hour mark.
Yeah. Long, flat profile. That way, like when you're running, you know exactly how much insulin you're getting.
Mhm.
You don't have to like. There's no mystery there, and
Mhm.
I love that predictability.
Yeah.
Like it made it much easier for me to say, okay, I know what's going to happen over the next 2 hours while I'm running because I know how much basal insulin I have.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else doing any thinking. Like there's not a pump doing and a pump algorithm doing thinking for me, or the Omnipod's not trying to figure out what I need. I know what I need, and I'm gonna fuel for that.
Yeah.
That was very freeing.
Yeah.
Um, but as I got closer to the race, I said, "Well, I don't wanna carry around a pen when I'm running."
Mhm.
So I would actually what I started doing the a couple days before, and I did all 3 of my marathons last year this way. I trained with Tresiba,
Mhm.
and then I would wear my pump also and just bolus for meals
Mhm.
with the Humalog in the pump.
Yeah.
What I would do as I got closer to like 4 or 5 days out from the race, I would dial back that Tresiba dose. So I would go from 20 to 12, and then I would use like a reduced basal of Tresiba
Yeah.
to prevent me going low, so that I don't have to consume quite the amount of fuel that I would need to on a full Tresiba dose.
Yeah.
So I did all 3 of my marathons last year that way.
Did you start and were you okay? I mean, I'm assuming point one to point B of this point one to point two of this question. Did you start higher with a higher number than you're comfortable with? And then were you okay starting with a higher number?
Like, you mean
Like, in the
on race day?
morning. Yeah, I'll just give the example of myself with the marathon is, like, I do actually do the exact same thing, but when I start the marathon, normally when I wake up, my blood sugar is between 80 and 100, but when I started my most recent marathon, I was at 150, because of the reduced so, like, overnight, I was just going which isn't bad, but then ate a banana right before running, so that stayed at one as by the time I started running, it stayed at 150. My question for you is, did you experience something similar where you, like, by the time you started the marathon with the reduced, basal rate, did you see yourself naturally go higher, and then were you okay with starting off that high, or did you find that because you were training it stayed consistent with your morning numbers?
Yeah, so what I would do, so I told you I would dial back from, like, 20 to 12, and I don't remember if
Yeah.
I was using 18 or 12, whatever the number was. Then what I would do is I would, and no pump company is gonna tell you to do this,
Mhm.
um, but what I would do is I would take, the pump and I would turn on the algorithm,
Yeah.
and I would let the algorithm make up the difference, to keep me in range,
Right.
right? So Tandem has, they with the Control IQ, I can set a basal rate, right? So if I know that I need 18 units a day, I'm taking 12 Tresiba, I would take 6 units, divide that by 24-ish, and then say that's how many units per hour I need. And then I would let Control IQ make up the difference. So on the morning of races, I was waking up in range.
That's great.
But then what I would do is I would turn off that
Yeah.
basal, that rapid acting basal, and I normally jump from the adrenaline, right?
Yeah.
I get jacked up, ready to
Yeah.
run, go.
The
Um,
starting line,
yeah,
the screaming, the yelling, the announcement, the national anthem, it's all so exciting.
yeah, it is. Yeah, so
That's
that
awesome, yeah.
that's the approach I took, and I haven't heard of other people using both, like, a long acting and a rapid acting, both as basal,
Yeah.
um, but it really works very well.
Yeah, so
Um,
the hybrid method is what we can coin it as.
yeah, that I've called it hybrid therapy. It
Mm.
really does work. And I love having the gravity. I call basal insulin like gravity. Oh, hey, buddy. Sorry, my dog just jumped up on the couch. Um, the I love having the constant pull of long acting uh all the time. Like, I love that. I love that gravity pulling down, right?
Is that what so let's take a look at what your current therapy is before we dive into the Goggins challenge.
Sure.
So with your recent, marathon this year, correct?
Yep. Yep.
What was that strategy going into, and then how did you do on that marathon? And then what did you do afterwards leading up to the Goggins challenge?
Yeah, so this year I took a pump break again in the spring for
Okay.
maybe late spring to August. Came off my tandem, went to Tresiba and injections, and training was going real well. Um, and then I had the opportunity to start on Twist.
Mhm.
So I wear, and right now and during the rest of the marathon prep and during this Goggins challenge, I wore my Twist insulin pump and my Libre 3 plus CGM.
Yeah.
And um, so in August, when I started with Twist, I came off of the Tresiba
Okay.
and went to a rapid acting only approach.
So what is and I'm slightly familiar with the Twist, and I know that it's like a newer, more freeing insulin pump. Again, I'm not associated with any sort of companies. I'm not
Sure.
associated with Tandem, Medtronic, Omnipod, etc. But I would like to know of how the Twist differs, and then how you manage that endurance running with new technology, basically, because that's a quick adjustment. You're talking between August and December. That's less than 4 months while doing a marathon and doing the Goggins challenge. So just that adjustment itself must have been unique,
It
another unique experiment.
it was unique. Fortunately, I've used basically everything on the market. I haven't worn the newest Medtronic, but I've worn pods. I've worn the T Slim and the G6 and the G7. Hadn't
Yeah.
worn a Libre, but it's a CGM, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I knew I wanted to. So anyway, this is Twist,
Okay.
and it's just one side holds the insulin, and one side is like the brains and the battery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all via an app on your phone. Um, why did I want to go to Twist? Twist is it has all kinds of knobs to turn. Like, so on
Mhm.
Tandem or on the pods, on Omnipod, you have like an activity mode,
Yeah.
and that mode is set to 140 to 160 on Tandem, and then on Omnipod, it's set at 150.
Yeah.
So with Twist, you can you have a all the way from 80 to 250.
Yeah.
You can pick your range, whatever you want your workout mode range to be. So
Yeah. You can
you can
customize it.
customize that. Yeah.
That's cool.
And then like Tandem, you can adjust your basal rate accordingly, and then you can adjust your insulin sensitivity factor. So there's just a lot more customization options. And I messed with all of them
Yeah.
during the prep, right? Um, and
Like a
it
new
worked.
toy.
Say what? Yeah, really, right? It's like uh,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is fun to me.
Yeah.
Um,
High stakes if you mess up, but
yeah, whatever. Um, but I did. So I wore Twist during the marathon and during the Goggins challenge. I went for the marathon. The marathon went real well. I was carb loading like crazy.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't do a good job leading up in the week, like the week of um of remembering that, oh yeah, by the way, I'm decreasing activity
Yeah.
and I'm carb loading.
Yeah.
I'm gonna experience some increased insulin resistance.
Mhm.
So my numbers were a little higher than I wanted them to be. Um, but once I got running, I mean, my adrenaline spiked, my blood sugar pretty good.
Yeah. So,
But
yeah,
then
anyways,
cross the finish line at 78. Uh,
pretty good.
so I felt
I
pretty
mean,
good about
knowing
that.
knowing that if you had to run another 5 miles, that would be a scary number, but knowing that you are ending, that's.
Right.
What were you carb loading, if you don't mind me asking, the week leading up? Like, what kind of carbs were you carb loading with?
Sure. I tried to focus on, and it makes it a little harder to dose, I
Mm.
think, but quick, easy, fast carbs,
Yeah.
rice, oatmeal, grains, um, I ate a lot of rice.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
and
complex and high glycemic, I believe, right?
yeah, yeah, and really, the body when you start to like, if you have a good muscle mass, body composition, your body clears carbs so well,
Yeah.
especially when you get into loading, and if you don't add in like a high fat,
Mhm.
to slow down that digestion, your body just clears those carbs like crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I probably ate, in the 5 days leading up, I was eating between 4 and 500 carbs a day. I tried to take a more gradual approach instead of like 6 or 700,
Mhm.
like a couple days before.
That to me, that's fascinating knowing that you are having like, to me, that's a lot of carbs, so, like, you were having that many carbs that then your body was, like, soaking it in.
It's amazing how the body's incredible, man. I love it. Like,
I once read that, like, your body can store weeks. So, like, you are the problem, not the problem, but with type 1 diabetics, the issue is we need glucose within our blood,
right.
for the brain to function. But the glucose stores in your muscles, if you were to keep going and if you were to not have type 1 diabetes, so your blood glucose was naturally regulated, you could go for weeks without having carbs and being able to use your carb source. To me, that's fascinating how, like, the body can just store that much energy source, and then you could just like, the human body's an endurance machine,
Oh, it is.
It's built to survive and built to keep on going long distances.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. The one thing I think I would have done different in the prep is um, I would have, I would have used more basal insulin,
Okay.
um, instead of like, I don't know that my meal doses were off, but I do
Yeah.
think, because of my decreased activity level, because 'cause you're tapering, you're getting ready for the run,
Yeah.
um, that I was not quite as insulin sensitive, and that I could have used some more basal.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because again, you're not moving, and it's just you're no longer in the training days because training is different than the taper. And the less you move, it really is true that the more you move, the more insulin sensitive you get. So if you're not moving for those couple days, even though you're preparing for a massive day of what would then become insulin sensitivity for those days leading up, you're becoming resistant.
Right. Yeah.
Let's transition gears here a little. Um, David Goggins. Whether people like him or not, he is an endurance athlete and he has accomplished some pretty incredible things. So just from an athletic point of view, it really is inspiring to follow somebody like him, to get that again rigorous and dare we say disciplined mindset. What is it about David Goggins that inspires or motivates you specifically? And then how did you first hear about the 4x4x48?
Yeah. Yeah, so the stuff he's done is incredible. All the ultra marathoners that do the 250-mile, 300-mile races, like, that's a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've run 4 marathons in my life. To do an ultra like that, and not like not to downplay like a 50K or a 50 miler,
Yeah.
but 250,
Yeah.
300
In
miles, I
the
mean,
in the
those.
do in the desert too, it's like crazy that you're in Moab, one of the hottest places on earth, and you're going through that.
Yeah. So I knew of him. I knew of his time. I don't know if you've read Jesse
Mm,
Itzler's book, My Time with the Navy SEAL, I think is what it's called.
I have not read that. I've read both of David's books.
So
Never.
Jesse's is more funny.
Okay. Alright, not as serious. I like the serious. I read Can't Hurt Me, and then never finished. I listened to the audiobook while working out, and it's a great book to listen to while
Yeah, just
working out
hear
because
it.
you
Yeah.
really get amped up.
Yeah. So Jesse's book's it's very upbeat, lighthearted, but it
Mm,
talks about how like he transformed him from I'm gonna use the word soft
yeah,
to being like a hard, one of Goggins' like main things is stay hard, right? Stay
yeah,
ready, stay hard.
yeah.
Um, so I had read that book and I had heard of like the 4x4x48
Mhm.
but I never really like considered doing it. Um, so I'm coming off of New York City. I run a 310 marathon.
This is
Uh,
awesome. Good for you.
feel fantastic. And probably could have been faster.
Mhm.
Uh, but anyway, whatever. That's a good story for another time. 310, thrilled with that run, like 26-minute personal best. Um, so I shut it down for a couple weeks. Right after the marathon, you're right.
Yeah.
So so I don't run for 3 weeks, and I'm on Instagram, right? And I just post, hey, what should my next thing be? And I think this was on either a Sunday or a Monday. My and so we're 2 weeks post marathon at this point. I've been on the exercise bike a little bit, but
Yeah.
definitely have not put feet on the pavement and run.
Yeah.
Um, and I put out and 2 or 3 people said, "Hey, you should do the 4x4x48." And I had some other suggestions about, like, doing an ultra, doing a 50K.
Mhm.
One of them was like, "You should do hobby horsing," like the little stick horse. I
Yeah.
had some people
Yeah.
give me some kind of funny thing. So I looked at the results of that poll, and 3 people had said, "Do the 4x4x48." And I thought about it, and I was like, "I can do that now."
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm rested. I'm
Yeah.
coming off of 2 weeks of
Yep,
low
you're already in
activity.
marathon shape, and it's
I'm
not
in
more
marathon
like
shape. Yeah, it's even it's like the 4x4x48's more like an ultra in that you're not trying to run it fast.
yeah.
And sorry, I should have said at the beginning. So if the whole Goggins challenge is 4 miles every 4 hours, like at the top of the hour every 4 hours for 48 hours. So you end up running 48 miles in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Um, so I basically was just like, let's go. And I think that was on a Wednesday where I was like, "I think I'm gonna do it," and I started Friday morning at 8.
Yeah, I remember seeing your post of, like, you're just talking to the camera, and you're just like, "I think I'm gonna do this," and then, like, instantly in my mind, I'm just like, I know 1, I know he's gonna do it, and 2, I'm like, "Let's get a conversation about this. This is awesome."
Yeah, and, you know, I don't know. I mean, I probably could have done it last year after
Yeah,
the marathon, so I ran 3 marathons last year, but I was in so much better shape this year,
yeah. More
that
calculated might be
yeah,
the phrase.
I just did not. I wasn't worried about it physically, I was worried about
Mhm.
the like, the mental exhaustion, the mental fatigue
What
aspect.
is it right before we jump into the start of this challenge, so what is it about Goggins' mindset as him not being a type 1 diabetic can you take and then as a type 1 diabetic relate it to type 1 diabetes and the condition?
I think and it's kinda and people tease about Goggins all the time, right? The whole "stay hard" thing,
Yeah,
right? Like, so I have never really any activity I've wanted to do in my life, I just done it, right?
yeah,
And just figured out how to manage my diabetes around what I was doing.
mhm,
Um, and I did that with the marathons, I did that with the sprint tries, I did that with everything, right? So I think and diabetes in particular has made me, like, mentally hard.
yeah, yeah,
Day-to-day management, it's a grind sometimes, you have highs and you've got lows, like, with blood sugar and emotionally, physically, um, but you have to keep going. Like, it is like, diabetes management is an ultra marathon of the highest sense in that you can't turn it off, you can't stop. Like, if so
doesn't go it's not like we're gonna wake up one morning and it's gone, you
yeah,
know?
it's just gonna yeah, I didn't cure my type 1 overnight, right?
Yeah,
But so I think as a diabetic, that lends itself, at least for me, like, being mentally tough to say, "Yeah, I can do that, and I'm gonna do it," um, is just something that I've had kind of ingrained in me from the beginning.
love it. No, it's very yeah, I mean, it's motivational to hear again, I relate this back to just, like, the spirit of human endurance, to, like, see what people are capable of, um the decisions we have to make as type 1 diabetics every day just puts us in an endurance category alone. I mean, I could have endless episodes about type 1 diabetes and endurance just talking about managing the condition because it really is it's an endurance sport within itself. We're very highly calculated people. We're making decisions like all the time that have direct influence. Yeah, we can get drastic as like life or death, which that is true, but also even the small decisions just affect our mindset throughout the day. You know, when you're at 250, you're less motivated to go for a run than when you're at like 120, you know? And then it's just like the discipline of like, how do you prevent? And and again, I'm not flexing, I'm not bragging or anything, but it's like it goes back to that discipline. I cannot tell you the last time I've been at 250. And actually, I can tell you, the last time I've been at 250 was right before my marathon in September, and that was because of adrenaline. So
Sure.
it's like, I can't tell you the last time I was at 250 through a fault that I didn't know what was happening, you
Right.
know?
Yep.
And I learned a lot about that mindset from Goggins and people like Goggins, and just learning kinda it's like the whole if you want to be an entrepreneur, surround yourself with businessmen and women. You know, it's like kind of like that. If you want to be disciplined with type 1 diabetes, pull from sources outside of type 1 diabetes as well. Just
Sure.
pull from people who will just quote it as it is, hard people out there grinding and putting that work in.
Yeah, I think something that I say a lot, and if I was going to describe my diabetes management style in as few words as possible,
Mhm,
I would say aggressive but not reckless,
mhm.
right? To try to be playing more offense than defense,
Yeah,
but to not get like, don't be crazy, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
running a marathon, trying to Boston qualify under, get it under 3 hours. Is that crazy? No, probably not crazy, but it is.
Oh,
That's aggressive. Like you have to train aggressively to be able to
yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Um, so there is a line there where are you being too, you know, too you get to the reckless point.
Yeah.
where you're not being aggressive anymore. You're not using your brain to think about what you're doing.
Mhm.
You're
And
not
the downside to that is hurting yourself. That's what you don't wanna do is hurt yourself. And
right.
I guess it's like if you wanna Boston qualify, like I when I first started the marathon, I wanted to go for speed. I know
Yeah.
my body type, I can't physically qualify for Boston. I'm just not a runner. But that hope and that idea within me allowed me to beat my PR
Yep.
this last one. So it's like as long as you don't hurt yourself, that idea, that crazy idea, don't take it too far to where you do hurt yourself, but then it can allow you to beat that goal, a different
Right.
goal. Even if you're not Boston qualifying, you can beat a personal record.
Right. Yeah, controlled chaos kinda thing,
Yeah.
like, and it's one decision at a time, and then, like, that decision's over. You can't do anything
Yeah.
about it. You have to move
Yeah.
on, right? Like, I compare this is not an endurance well, maybe it is an endurance sport, but diabetes and golf
Yeah.
are a lot alike in that
Yeah.
you hit one good shot and you hit it out of bounds.
Yeah.
You gotta tee it up again and hit again.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you
you gotta keep on going.
you gotta memory flush that bad shot out, and you gotta
Mhm.
get locked back in and put one down the middle, right?
Yeah.
Um, and one good shot can make up for 2 bad ones, right? You can't quit on a hole, right? There's
Yeah.
so many analogies,
Yeah.
with tennis, golf, all
One day
sports.
we'll get JJ Spawn on here to talk about how he stays mentally focused enough.
Yeah, that's right, I love it. Um, so I literally I just decided that I was gonna do this challenge,
Mhm.
right? Um, so then I'm like, "Okay, how am I gonna do this?" So I've said yes. Now it's like, "Okay, how am I gonna do this and manage my diabetes during this time?"
Yeah.
And the thing too, if you've done any kind of endurance activity, you know that after you run, do you experience highs after you run? Like
I
a
did so
post
there's it's almost to a T. If I run more than 5 my typical runs now are 10 miles or a light 2 to 3 mile jog, but, like, I would say twice a week I'm running 10 miles. Um, right after it goes up, and then I wait a bit, and I'm just, like, doing recovery and stretching, and by the time, like, I have my meal, it's right back down to normal.
Yeah. Yeah, so with if you're on rapid acting and you taper back your basal, like in an exercise mode or whatever, you're not getting that full basal insulin that you normally would need, right? So
Yeah.
I experience a rise afterwards when I run if
Mhm.
I'm not aggressive enough with a correction, even right after, as soon as I'm done running, like I got to give myself some insulin like right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
But I can't do that over 12 runs over 48 hours. Like
Yeah.
I can't be that aggressive with insulin.
Yeah.
Um, but I also have to eat. So then I'm thinking through like, well, how do I make it so that I can not spike afterwards? But, so that's this whole like, there's so many pieces in this chest. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm way overcomplicating this. We're going to make it the insulin lasts 5 to 6 hours in your body,
Mhm.
assuming you believe what Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk put on their little, in the little piece of paper that nobody reads in the bottles of insulin, right? Um, like I can manage this. I don't need, there's no chess needed here. We're going to
Yeah.
go and we're going to run our 4 miles and we're going to come back and we're going to dose, we're going to eat, and then we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And that was really it.
And I assume the pace changed, but at the start, what was your 4 mile pace? So then I want to equate it to how long were you running and then how long were you not in between the runs?
Sure. I went to the place where you go for advice when you don't know what you're doing. I went to Reddit
Yeah.
and I looked up like the Goggins challenge on there, and people were like, "Hey, be prepared to walk." You know, it's not about everybody finishes the 4x4x48 in 48 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
like you can either run really hard and have a little bit more recovery time, or you can slow down and not put as much strain on your body during each of the runs.
Mhm.
So I went with that math.
Yeah.
And from the end of my driveway to the end of our street, which connects to like a main road here in town, um, is point four, a little less than point 0.4 miles.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk. I'm going to start my watch when I get to the end of the driveway, and I'm going to walk to the main road. That'll be like my little warm up. And we live in East Tennessee and it's hilly. So like
Yeah.
me walking is like, it's a legit warm up.
Yeah.
Um, So that'll be my warm up, and then I'll run basically a 5K,
Yep.
and then I'll walk back, and that'll be like a cool down.
Yep.
So each of my runs, so my I think my total time walking and running combined was like a little under 8 hours.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that first one, man, I hadn't run and
So
my legs
you're
were
just like
fresh.
opening, yeah, you gotta get
Oh,
loose in that.
I started running and I was like, "Man, I feel fantastic." I looked down and I'm like, "Oh crap, I'm running like a 7:05 mile. Like I have to slow down." Like you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
get those like, "Oh, this is what running on fresh legs feels like. This is
Yeah.
fantastic." So I ended up slowing down. I tried to keep my pace between 8:30 and 9 minutes a mile when I was running.
Okay.
Um,
What
but what
time did you start at?
I started Friday morning at 8,
Okay.
8
So
AM.
then you would end Sunday morning at 8. Well, Sunday morning at 4 AM would be the last run,
What
correct?
right, was my last
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started Friday at 8, and really, Friday went really well.
Mm.
No complaints. I mean, I had a little bit of blood sugar fluctuation. My first run, because I hadn't run,
Yeah.
I went high.
Okay.
Um, I think it was just, like, me being excited to get started, but I came back down and was relatively stable the rest of the day.
Mm.
Um, but in between those runs, you have, like so let's say it takes me 40 minutes, average for those 12 runs that you have to do. You've got 3 hours in between.
Yeah.
Well, you don't wanna just, like, sit down and, like, put your feet up, because then you get tight.
Yeah.
So you have to stay loose. I mean, what do you do? So I work from home. I worked on Friday. So I
Yeah.
would go run, and then I'd come home and work for 3 hours, and then I'd go run again.
That's great. And keeping
Yep,
keeping your mind off of it and kinda being like, "Oh, time to go. Gotta gotta head out there," and then just, like, come back afterwards.
yep. Yeah, so that worked out great.
Mm.
Saturday, we had, like, errands to do during the day. So I went for my 8 o'clock run.
Yeah.
And we came home and we went, like, angel tree shopping for a kid that we picked off an angel tree,
Mm.
and then we went to my daughter does baton. So Saturday afternoon, she had baton practice, so I ran at noon, and then
Mm.
at 3, we drove over to where she does baton, and I found a little neighborhood at 4 o'clock to
Yeah.
go run in. So I
Yeah.
found I'm some total foreigner, right, to the area. I'm running in this neighborhood I don't belong in. Um, but yeah, and I just every run, I would make sure, like, I would look to see how much insulin I had on board, um, and I would, eat something about 30 minutes beforehand,
Yeah. That's
and then
awesome that you fit it in, and then but you were still again, I'm using the word calculated a lot because I mean, that's what it is.
yeah,
Um, you were still you fit it in daily life. You're able to still take your daughter to classes, but you still had a calculated approach to the running. So you're just like, "I know how to manage the running, and I can run 4 miles anywhere as long as I have pavement somewhere."
yeah,
And then you're just like, "I'll make it work like that."
yeah, it really like I said at the beginning when we were talking, like,
Mm.
I was not worried about my legs.
Yeah.
If I
'Cause,
didn't
I
get
mean,
s
you could
eh
physically run for even if you weren't running it back to back, you could probably, just being in marathon shape, complete 48 miles if you were to set off. But then the fact that you had to space it out, that 48 miles within 2 days, it's a doable attempt, especially when your body's ready. I mean, I guess the biggest problem and what we get into now is after the day part when you get into the night and not just running at night, but more specifically not having a structured sleep schedule that is meant to recover your body throughout what you just did during the day.
that was my biggest concern was because I don't nap, I don't sleep on a plane, like,
Mm.
I don't sleep in the car, like, there's no cat napping around here if you've got kids, like, they're Saturday afternoon, they're not napping, right? You're doing
Yeah,
stuff with them, right? So,
yeah,
I was concerned I knew that if I could get to sleep, if I could sleep any the first night that I felt pretty good, like that I could just survive day 2.
yeah,
But somehow I was able to, on Friday night, sleep for about an hour and a half between the 8 PM, midnight, and after the 4 AM run too. I was able to calm down enough, um, to sleep for about an hour and a half between each of those.
So that's almost 5 hours of sleep total?
Almost, yeah, and I think that made the day portion of day 2
Yeah.
easy.
And again, that's fractured sleep, so you're not getting your full 8 hours of, REM sleep, deep sleep, non-deep sleep, but it's better than nothing because what's the alternative? Is no sleep at all, so it's like at least you got those little 90-minute blocks.
Yeah, it was more like a mental break than it
Yeah.
was a physical break, because even then, and the hardest run I had, I think, was the 4 a.m. run on Saturday, and it was because, uh uh, between 12 and 4, I woke up and was groggy, like I slept hard, like I could tell that my body was starting to get tired, and I
Sorry,
slept.
waking up and your body's like, "Why are we waking up?
Yeah,
Let's go right back to sleep,
what
please."
are we doing here? But I woke up, and I was a little stiff. So I spent a little bit of time like doing some like a little bit of mobility stuff to try to get my legs back loose.
Mhm.
And that run was probably the slowest of all of them. Um, and also when you're running and it's pitch black outside and there's nobody around, like
Yeah,
I some people like that. I didn't necessarily like it for the 3rd time, right? Because the 8, 12, and 4 a.m. runs were all in the pitch black,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, so the 3rd run and overnight, it started like, so Thursday night into Friday was kinda rainy and
yeah,
overcast.
yeah,
So Friday was warm, like 60 degrees,
yeah. It's good running weather.
but it was a little misty and kinda wet.
Mhm.
Well, getting into Saturday morning, that overcast, those clouds went away, and it
Yeah,
got cold.
yeah,
So from 8, like, my 8 o'clock run on Friday, I think it was, like, 55, which is, like, an incredible, like, what a great temperature, you know?
yeah.
Well, then or Saturday morning at 4, it was, like, 40. That was a little bit of a shock,
Mhm.
like, that I came out, I was like, "Oh, wow, it's cool," because I didn't look at the weather like a
Yeah.
dummy, I should have.
Walk
Um,
outside.
yeah, I was like, "Oh, wow, it's a little colder." And that
Story
took.
for a different time, but I did that once in the middle of winter. I didn't look at the weather, and I was on too far of a run, and I got hypothermia halfway through, and I was too far, um, away, so I had to run back, and my heart rate was, like, in the 200s. It was not
Oh
different story for
my
a
gosh,
different
dude.
time, but it was wild.
Well, I'm
So,
glad you made
look
it out.
at if there's anything people learn from today is look at the weather before you go out
Yeah,
and run,
that's right.
even at 4 AM.
Bottom line, bumper sticker takeaway, look at the
Yeah.
weather before you go run. That's funny.
What were so, like, we'll pick the 4 AM specifically. By that time, the 4 AM of the first day, or, like, entering the second day, what was happening to your blood glucose?
So I was starting to, fluctuate more during the runs.
Okay.
Fluctuate, I mean, I was coming down more,
Yeah.
even on a short 4-mile run. By the beginning of day 2, I don't remember the 4 a.m. run, but at the 8 a.m. run, I remember noticing like, okay, wow, like I ended that run at like 70,
Yeah.
and I started at 140.
Yeah.
So I was eating something before every run,
Yeah.
and it got to the point where I was having to eat something immediately when I got back. Um, because we talked about the post run, like rise I would see
Mhm.
if I was running like for marathon training.
Yeah.
Well, this is just 4 miles, right? So
That's a great point. Is like, I mean, 4 miles when you're training for a marathon is a lot of distance. So 4 miles, you might be able to have, like, a snack before, and then it gets your numbers up, and then by the time you finish, your numbers are back down, as opposed to a 10-mile, you have to eat while running at mile 4 or 5 or whatever. So you calculating you're you're dropping from what you're telling me now is, like, you're dropping, and if you were to continue, you would continue to drop, so you need to replenish right away. Um but then you're resting for a little bit. So what did that post run look like too?
so post run, I would come in and um I would try to eat something right away, like at least a little something, or sip on some Gatorade,
Yeah,
because you don't want to eat. The hard thing is like you don't want to eat a big meal.
yeah,
I don't want to eat like a waffles and sausage and bacon, eggs, pancake breakfast, right? Because then I'm full. I don't want to have a full stomach while I'm running because I got to run again in 3 hours.
mhm,
So I was eating like I would eat a bowl of cereal, like, or, in the afternoon, I was eating, like, a Rice Krispie treat,
Yeah.
basically treating it like an ultra, like, that's like, Rice Krispie treats are famous in ultra marathons for their utility because 'cause they're easy to digest,
Yeah.
fast-acting carbs,
Yeah.
so I bought a box of Pop-Tarts, and I bought a box of Rice Krispie treats, and I think I've got 1 pack of Pop-Tarts left, so I think like, I ate quite a few Pop-Tarts, and I think I ate
Yeah.
about half the box of
Which
Rice
on
Krispie
any
treats.
given day is probably not the best for a well-rounded diet, but for this specific situation.
'Cause, I mean, it's fast carbs,
Mhm.
I just needed the boost to get me through the run,
Yeah.
Because I knew that if I could because it's just a 2 mile out and back, right? It's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
short like, mentally, I'd prepared myself every time, like, "Okay, just walk out to the main road, 5K out and back, like, that you're not
Yeah.
that's it,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
Um, and you're not trying to win you're not trying to run a race, you're just trying to, just get back home, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I think I don't we we ate something on Saturday night. I was hungry. Um, that was the first time I'd been hungry.
So now you're moving for plus so get jumping through Saturday day and into Saturday night, you're moving from like, this is happening for more than 16 hours at this point of the running,
Yeah.
stopping, etcetera. Um, what will you then by, let's say, Saturday afternoon, so you're more than, 16 by more than 24, so you're more than 24 hours into it at this point. What were you eating? Were you eating before your runs? Were you having, like, Gatorades and sugar? Again, you said you didn't wanna, um, have a full stomach while running, but and your glucose was starting to drop because you're running out of stores. How did you manage getting your glucose high enough to run for those 4 miles when you're really in it beyond the 24 to 28-hour mark?
Yeah, once I got beyond 24 hours, I really tried my best to, like, just it's hard because you don't wanna get, like, too overhydrated too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was drinking, but you do have 3 hours, so there's enough time there where you can, you can eat something relatively, simple.
Yeah.
So, um, on Saturday, what did we do? I think we ate some leftovers for lunch on Saturday, so I don't even like, it wasn't even anything like sophisticated,
Okay. Yeah.
but um, I was sipping coconut water.
Okay.
And I did that during, marathon prep too,
Yeah.
the week before. Just electrolytes, a little bit of carbs, but mostly just potassium,
Mhm.
sodium,
Mhm.
um, to get and to try to stay hydrated as best I could.
Yeah.
And then, Saturday night, the girls they wanted Chinese. So they were like, "I want some Chinese." So we went and got some Chinese food. So I had, like, Saturday, I ate some fried rice and some
Yeah.
orange chicken, you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
which is n
you got the fats and proteins in there that your body can then pull as as stores as well.
but what was funny was, normally a meal like that, orange chicken that's fried, that's,
Yeah.
like, normally that would impact me, like, 5, 6, 7 hours later because it slows the digestion, and it's also there's a lot of, I would see a quick rise, and then I would hold on to that rise, right,
Yeah.
normally,
Yeah.
um, and I didn't. I took, like, hardly any insulin.
And it
Yeah.
just went right, you saw a completely different reaction.
Yep. Yeah, just from the body being needing it, right? It's like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I need this, thank you."
Yeah.
So that
But I
worked
tell
out
you, like,
great.
even and it goes back to the idea of the Pop-Tarts and the Rice Krispie treats, like, during ultras, it's like they have, like, burgers and stuff. It's like you need the calories at that point.
Yep. Calorie max. Yep.
Mhm.
Whatever you can get, give me the best bang for the buck in the fewest the most calories in the smallest form factor possible. Um, so that my body, because the body just soaks it up.
Yeah. A quick sidetrack question,
Sure, yeah.
jumping back a little in time before we get into Saturday night and the finish. What so, like, after the 4 a.m. run and getting into the 8 a.m. run, once the sun has rose, um, did your body, even though you were depleting that sleep, did your body just recognize the circadian rhythm of the sun and just during the day, did you feel like you were sleep deprived at all, or did your body just feel awake?
I felt good
Yeah.
once the sun came up. During that 8 o'clock run, I felt good. You know, I knew I was like, "Okay, I can do this for another 6 runs," right?
Mhm.
I've got 6 runs. I've got 6 runs down. I got 6 runs to go. I can do this. Um, and the sun was out. It was cool, but the sun was out.
Yeah.
And I tried to something I didn't mention before. Um, I didn't have any caffeine past noon either day
Okay. Yeah.
to try to get myself to, like, have 0 stimulants so that I could, if I wanted to,
So you could
try
sleep.
to get some sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, and that sleep wouldn't be disrupted by the because caffeine has a 12-hour life, um, 12-hour half-life, I believe. Caffeine can be in you for a while,
Yeah.
but you're not supposed to have it 6 to 8 hours before you go to sleep because it can disrupt your sleep, so
Yeah.
that's really smart. Again, it goes back to the little sleep that you do have, like, it's not a structured sleep, but it's I'll call it a fractured sleep, but it's better than no sleep, so the fact that you can focus on that quality over the quantity is probably what you needed to push through.
Yeah. And then, you know, Saturday during the day, we had those activities we mentioned.
Yeah,
So I was out moving around. I wasn't still, and
yeah,
I think that helped me stay loose. I didn't get
yeah,
tight.
yeah.
Um, yeah, Saturday probably couldn't have gone. I mean, I felt great all the way into the 8 p.m. run. I was feeling good.
Yeah. Okay. So by midnight on Sunday morning, was that the wall? Did you hit a wall or were you just then coasting?
Not necessarily hit a wall, but
Yeah.
I fell asleep after I went and ran at 8, so I'm
Yeah.
back in the house by 9. But then it's so after each run, you come in and you're sweating,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now it's cooler outside and the house is warm.
Yeah.
Right, so then it's like, okay, and you gotta, like, shed your clothes as soon as you get in. It took me a little longer to wind down on Saturday night than it did on Friday night,
Mhm.
and I don't know why, but it did. But that midnight run, I was like, "Okay, I've got 1." I got 2 runs left. I got a 12 AM and a 4 AM,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
But when I woke up from my 8 PM snooze, my nap, I my blood sugar was lower
Yeah.
than so I was starting to see some serious sensitivity at that point.
Yeah.
So I think around so I woke up late. So I slept from let's say I fell asleep at 9:45.
Mhm.
Well, I woke up at like 11:45.
And if your blood sugar is low, you need to get it up fast so you can start running at 12 because you don't wanna start running low.
So quickly I slammed so I think I ate a Pop Tart, I think
Mm,
I ate a banana,
mhm.
um and probably some Nerd gummy clusters, I don't really remember, but
Yeah.
I ate probably 60 carbs in, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, "Okay, I gotta put clothes on and get out the door."
Yeah.
Um, and if you go back and if you watch my posts on Instagram, I went live for every single one of the runs right
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
And
It's awesome.
I think that one, I don't remember if I was a couple minutes behind. One of them, I forgot to start my watch until I got to, like, the end of the street. So if
Yeah.
my last run, my 4 AM run, I actually ran, like, 4.3 something miles.
Yeah, because
Make
you
up
wanted
for
to
what I
track the
missed.
full
Yeah.
4. Good for you.
So I was like, "Oh my gosh, what an idiot. I didn't start my watch." But it was hard to remember to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
'Cause
mean, your brain must have been so foggy at that point. You must have been so, like, exhausted, and it's still the middle of the night, and you're talking about running in the dark. Now you're running in the dark with fluctuating blood sugars, which affects your mind too, with
yeah.
depleted, muscle stores for over, like, almost 48 hours at this point with lack of sleep, so you're having all the cards stacked against you.
That was the first run. So that midnight run was the first so I came back and I was back in the house by 1 o'clock. What
Yeah,
and what I was doing, before I walked out the door and as soon as I walked back in, I was checking myself on the meter. I would check
yeah,
my finger, and then I was also looking at what the CGM was telling me to try to get
yeah,
some comparisons.
yeah.
Well,
Were they similar? Because I know sometimes, like, the CGM can be accurate, but when your blood sugar is fluctuating, the glucometer, like, it can almost read quicker, but the numbers can also be off because blood sugar within your body is just fluctuating, so, like, one hand can be different than the other almost by, like, 20 to 30 points.
yeah, it's crazy. So I knew I was low when I got home from that run, like, I could
Mhm,
feel it, right?
mhm,
And so that was the first run where I actually had to eat. So I had eaten all that food, before that run started because I woke up late.
Yeah.
But I didn't give my body enough time to start digesting that food before I started running.
Yeah.
So I actually had to eat some. I for that run, I had the little Halloween packs of Nerd gummy clusters, which are like 12 carbs per bag.
Mm.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've come this far. It's 12:45. It's like, what am I doing? Like I'm so close to being done, and now I'm gonna get derailed by low blood sugar.
Yeah.
Um, but fortunately I had those Nerd gummy cluster packs, and I smashed both of them during the run. So I'd eaten like 60 carbs before and then 24 during. I'd eat 24 carbs during a 4-mile run. Like marathon me would laugh at Goggins me, right?
Yeah.
Because like,
Yeah.
what a loser, you're eating carbs during a 4-mile run, right? Like, and then that's not to not to
Yeah. Yeah.
say
Yeah. That's
that,
self-talk at that. Yeah.
but it's like I can manage my blood sugar better than this. Like I know that I can. But you're so wiped out. So I got in and I was low. And then what happens when you don't give your body a chance to digest that food? You get in and then your body actually begins or resumes the digestion process.
Mhm, mhm.
So then I went a little high,
Yeah.
uh, which I was actually kind of glad to see. Um, but when you go high in between these runs, you have to take insulin, and insulin's slow, right? So then 4 a.m. came, and I was in range. I was like 110, 115, but I had like a unit and a half or more on board. It's like, well, that's not great. So then I had to, I ate something. I don't remember what I ate,
Yeah.
but I fell asleep, woke up, saw what I was, and was like, crap, I got like a unit and a half on board.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna, I have to eat something. I can't just
Yeah.
go run now.
Which just for, clarity, it's not great because when your heart rate gets higher and when your body's in an activity, you become more insulin sensitive instantly,
Yeah.
and that onboard insulin acts reacts quicker and starts affect and can drop your blood sugar a lot quicker than you'd like it to.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thank you for spelling that out. I didn't do a good job stating that, but that was my concern, right? Is even on the walk out,
Mhm.
like just walking out to the main road, like, am I gonna see a drop? So I drank some. I keep powdered dextrose here at the house, so I
Yeah.
slammed some probably like 27 carbs of powdered dextrose, and that time I woke up at like 3:30, so I had like 30 minutes to spare. So I had plenty
Yeah.
of time to. I was in range, shut off my insulin, went to just suspended my insulin, um, with the intent to unsuspend afterwards, which I did. Get the dextrose in me, get it working, see that I'm coming up, and then head out on the run.
Yeah. What was that feeling when you hit that final stretch and you knew that you accomplished it? Was it still dark at that point? Did the sun rise? Because that would have been, I know it probably was still dark at that point, but that would have been epic if like the sun was rising. But
Sun
like
just
what was
peeking out. Yeah,
yeah,
totally epic.
internally, what were you feeling emotionally aside from your glucose?
I think emotionally, I was just feeling like an incredible relief
Mhm.
that because I mean, nobody likes to fail,
Yeah,
right? Nobody likes to
yeah,
bonk in a marathon and each of those runs it's 12 4-hour, 12 4-mile runs,
yeah,
right? Which is little bite-sized runs if you're in the endurance community. So it's like, okay, I can obviously run 4 miles, right? And then you go and you finish and what made it nice was that, when I was done, the walk home
yeah,
provided a few moments of we don't have any streetlights in our neighborhood,
yeah,
so it's I've got my headlamp on,
yeah.
it's just me, and, like, it was so peaceful, um, just ultimate peace, like, it's pitch black outside, there's not a cloud in the sky, uh it was awesome. It really was. I felt a great sense of accomplishment, but relief too that it was over.
That's really awesome. I mean, you must have been relieved that it was over because your body was probably like, "Can we get sleep now?"
Yeah, I think I came home and you shed your clothes, jump in the shower, rinse off, try to calm down and cool off. and I think I fell asleep, and I think the girls got up. So now it's Sunday morning. I think the girls got up about 7. So
Yeah.
I got a couple hours.
Yeah, now next to the next endurance role being a father.
Yeah. No, but it was good. Yeah, they had absolutely the girls had absolutely 0 clue, what was going on. But
Yeah,
um, "Why are you going to run again? Didn't you just run?" Our kids are
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah,
Big question of why.
yeah, exactly. Um, but I think even the next day, you know, I I just randomly decided to do this, and it's not like I mean, I put it on Instagram. I don't have a huge following, but, I didn't do this for anybody else, It was just, like, kinda something to do, right? And
Yeah.
somebody suggested it, and I was like, "Let's go."
Well, that was actually gonna be one of my questions. Well, first off, congratulations, because I
Thank
mean,
you.
it really is an awesome feat. As a fellow T1D, as a fellow T1D endurance athlete, and as somebody following you and who has been following you for quite some time now, it's inspiring. So I know when you do something like this, you're not just affecting me, you're affecting other people, that are following you, have been following you, and that will learn of what you did, from the multiple marathons to this challenge itself. We talked a lot at the beginning about the individual and why you transitioned to individual sports, and you make a really good point of at this finish line, there was no giant crowd. You had solitude. There wasn't and it's kinda like and we can relate it back to the Goggins mindset of why you're doing this in the first place. But I guess, did you discover why like, what, is there something that you took away from that solitude as opposed to the crowds cheering, knowing that basically you completed an ultra, but you also completed a challenge that I don't know if you're the first type 1 diabetic to do so, but it's insane just to do it with type 1 diabetes. How did that differ from other finishes that you've accomplished?
Sure. I think honestly, I think the challenge was harder than doing a marathon.
Mhm.
I would much rather have gone out and run 26 straight miles.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause I mean, that's over within 4
Yeah.
hours.
Right. So that was one part of it. I knew that that was probably the hardest thing that I had tried to date,
Mhm.
specifically because of the sleep aspect. It was physical, mental, and at the end it was emotional. But you know, the feeling of having done it and looking back now, you know, like there's not an article in the paper about it.
Yeah.
Like, I posted it on Instagram, like I said, and went live before every run. Like I'm not seeking anybody's approval or,
Yeah.
I just did it for me, right?
Yeah.
And not that I didn't do those marathons for me, but like you said, nobody at the finish line does some of this stuff. And for me to like, it took me a little while to process um, the most recent marathon that I completed. Right,
Yeah.
it took some time because it's New York City and it's crazy and it's loud and there's people everywhere.
Yeah, and there's music
This,
pumping for the entire time.
yeah, that's right. This was complete silence, right? There's no cars on the road. Um, the birds aren't even up yet, and that was really I enjoyed that
Yeah.
because it gave me just that 5, 6 minute walk back up to the house, just a few minutes to reflect
Yeah.
about like, wow, we just did this, and you know nobody cares, but who cares, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and that's I got to a point a couple years ago when I started doing some of this stuff, like, and it probably sounds strange because I post a lot of things on Instagram about, or in general about diabetes, and I really could care less what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
And when you get to that point, you become pretty powerful, and you can
Yeah.
do anything,
Yeah.
right? If I failed, who cares?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my family, my girls still, they're patting me on the back and telling me like good job and trying, and they're the only ones I'm really seeking the approval of, right? So if they're
Mm.
if they're happy with me at the end of the day, then I've succeeded.
Love that mindset. And I mean, again, I think when you have a mindset like that, it's again, like, it's a movement. You're creating a movement and what it is, and you're throwing that ripple in the water, and however far it goes is you're affecting the people's lives who you're supposed to affect. And if your 2 daughters see that you can accomplish this, even at this point, they don't know what it exactly means. When they'll get older, they'll know exactly what you did, you know? You affected their lives, and you probably made them that much better of a person just following by example, you know?
Yeah, I saw it was funny, you look up, like, when I was doing research on this thing, it's like, "What is the
Yeah.
Goggins challenge? How do I do it? What's the best way to do it? Yada, yada, yada." Oh, all the advice, nobody has di no one t like, no one with diabetes has said, "This is how I did it," right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
but when you search that stuff on Instagram or even on the internet, right, you start to
yeah,
get different ads, right?
yeah.
So I had an it was an Instagram, reel that popped up, and it was like something to the effect of, I'm out here running ultras so that my daughter's future boyfriends, when they come over and brag about their 5Ks, I can be like, "Oh, well, I did the David Goggins challenge," and, it's something like that. So I thought that was pretty funny in the days afterwards, like, "Ah, yeah, I guess I can say that." Not that those boys will care because 'cause they're dumb
No,
boys.
no, but you allow you to vet as
Yeah.
a father.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. What do you think I mean, in classic Goggins fashion, what do you think Goggins would have said to you if he was walking beside you, um, during that moment of solitude on your way back to your house?
He probably would have said, "Run." He probably would have said, "You look like you've got the legs to keep running. Why are you?" That's probably what he would have said, right?
Good, good, yeah,
Um,
I'd expect nothing less.
and completely justified too, because I could have kept running,
Mhm.
like my legs felt good.
Yeah,
Um, and really even the next couple days, they weren't my legs weren't sore, but I was physically fried, like,
yeah.
and I was like just absolute zombie for a couple days. Um,
Now, flipping it in a reversal, if you were walking along and at the start of this, not at the end, and it was another type 1 diabetic that was scared to start this challenge, what would you say to them?
I would say it's one run at a time, right? You can't. Oh, what's the saying about, in golf tournaments specifically, like, in the PGA, right? It's a 4-day tournament.
Yeah,
You can't win a tournament on day 1, but you can lose it.
yeah,
Like, you can lose a tournament on day 1, but you can't win it. So you
yeah,
have to stay in the game, like, stay locked in, one run at a time, and just set them up and knock them down.
absolutely love it. I think that's important. I think that's not said a lot. Um, I think that's a real I mean, I think that's real advice, you know? I think that it's the mindset of don't give up during it, but the start is a crucial time period.
Oh, it's so
It's
important.
kinda like if you look at it all at once, I mean, I do this with a lot of things, like the 7-day expedition for Kilimanjaro that's coming up. You look at it all at once,
Yeah.
it's scary, but if you break it up day by day, kinda like this, block by block, it becomes a lot more obtainable.
Yep, and I did the same thing with the marathon. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, you can set your Garmin, right? Your Garmin's like, "Oh, this is your last mile time," or whatever. Um, I set it up to give me 5K updates
Yeah,
instead of going mile by mile, so I don't get 26 reminders of how fast my mile was.
yeah,
So it
yeah.
it it breaks it into 8
Yeah,
5Ks
you
instead of.
create a wider chunk because if you create it too small, then again, it's like stacking too much on top and you get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't wanna look at my, time splits every mile. You'd be too it gets too much to think about, right?
yeah.
So, reducing that mental load to make it like, we're gonna run a 5K and then we're gonna run another 5K. Same thing with this, like, we're gonna run 1 4-mile chunk, at a time.
Now, I know you just finished a lot this year, and it is currently the holiday season, so you might be focused on time with family and friends and loved ones. But is there anything in your mind curating as to what's next and what's on the table for 2026?
So I had nothing on the calendar till I got these messages on the poll that I put out there to do the like, "Hey, you should do this 4 by 4 by 48."
Yeah,
So now I've done this, and, I told my wife after New York, I was like, "I'm done running marathons. Like, this is
Yeah.
too much. Like, it's too much on my body." You know, and not that I can't do it, but it's like I want my blood sugar to be more controlled than it is when I run, right?
Mhm.
It's hard. Anybody that tells you that it's easy managing your blood sugar while you're doing endurance activities, it's not. It's
Yeah,
hard.
especially a marathon's extremely I would say the word different is like I almost prefer expedition training to marathon training.
Yeah. So I haven't done any expedition stuff yet, so that's something I would like to get into, but so I've told my wife, like, after New York, I'm like, "I'm not running any marathons," and then she's like, "You just said you weren't running any more marathons, you're doing this 4 by 4 by 48," and I'm like, "Well, technically, it's not a marathon," I'm, like, justifying it in my mind, right? So then now I'm like, "Okay, I'm taking a break," like, like, over the last week, I put together this, like, or and even before the challenge,
Mhm.
like I'm gonna be doing, I've got a full workout regimen plan. I'm gonna put on like 15 pounds and then
Yeah,
we're gonna cut back, so I'm stronger and I want to work on speed. Like I want to get my 5K down low. Like
yeah,
running fast is fun,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Uh, and I like a 5K distance, 5K, 10K because it's less running time. Like, it's not as much of a like, training for marathons, if you wanna do it well, which is how
mhm,
I wanted to do it, like, I was gonna try to qualify for Boston,
mhm,
it takes time,
mhm,
and my girls are 4 and 8, and it's like, okay, well, that would give me more weekend time, if I'm training for 5K sprint type stuff, so,
yeah,
really what I would like to do in '26, I wanna try to get my 5K time down below 17 minutes,
it's a
which
good goal.
which is
Yeah, that's
fast.
fast. What's that per
Um
mile? That's 6?
it's under 6.
Under 6, that's gotta be like 540 something.
It's like
Yeah,
540 something.
yeah,
So I think I can do that. Um, 2 years ago, I ran a so last not Thanksgiving last week, but a year ago,
mhm,
I ran a turkey trot, and I did it in, like, 1920 something.
yeah, it's
But
just,
that was without any speed work,
yeah,
and I would have liked to have run a 5K, like, last week
yeah,
just to see, but I
yeah,
just done 48 miles, and I was
yeah,
like,
you gotta
"Where am I gonna
recover a
go?"
little bit.
Yeah. But what's coming up in '26? So we live in Knoxville, Tennessee,
Yeah,
and so Denver has had a Taco Bell 50K challenge for the last 7 or 8 years, right?
yeah, yeah,
And it's a 31-mile race
yeah,
where you have to eat at 7 or 8 Taco Bells on the course route.
yeah, that sounds horrible.
So absolutely horrible. So Knoxville just announced that they are going to have one in
Okay,
February,
okay,
and it'll be the first one.
on the radar.
Registration is tonight.
Yeah, yep, okay.
So I
Might I convince you?
my wife and I talked about it this morning, and she was like, "Sure." I was like, this would be I think this was more of a fun, like, I'm not going out to
Yeah.
run, I'm not
Yeah.
racing.
Yeah, yeah, you're not going out to beat a time or you're just this is gonna be something that you and I mean, you just ran 48 miles within 48 hours, so it's clearly obtainable.
Yeah. So that's the first thing
Yeah,
in at the end of February. So you have to eat I think there are 8 Taco Bells on the route, and you have to keep your receipt and your wrapper, for what you ate. You have to eat something at each Taco Bell stop.
yeah.
So we're gonna give that a shot. And that I mean, people are gonna hear this and be like, "This dude has type 1 diabetes. Why is he advocating eating Taco Bell?" I am not advocating
I
eating
was gonna
Taco.
say, personally, this is not for me. I think if I were to go to Taco Bell, I'd run straight to the outhouse if I made it that far. But again, as you were saying, it's a little bit bigger than Taco Bell. It's about the fun and it's about kind of accomplishing. You said that you're eating the Pop Tarts and the Rice Krispies while trying to raise your blood sugar. So I'm interested to see what the fats and the grease, if we call it protein from Taco Bell, does. Because I do know that it's a combination of high fats, high proteins, and high carbs while running.
Yeah,
Godspeed.
the alleged protein, right? Who
Yeah,
knows who
yeah,
knows what but, I told Megan, my wife, I told her, I was like, "Hey, look, like, I think I wanna do this," and she was obviously like, "You're an idiot. Why would you do that?" And I'm like, "No, actually, I think this would be, like it would be a nice comparison to, like, the marathon."
yeah,
Because I was running and running hard.
Mhm.
And that impacted my blood sugar a certain way. I mean, I ate like 250 carbs via gels and gummies on that run
Yeah.
for the marathon.
Yeah.
Well, for this, I'm going to be running for maybe twice the time,
Yeah.
but probably eat 2 to maybe 2.5 times the calories and carbs.
It's just cool to see the experiment of what
Yeah.
your body does with the difference in carbs.
So that's more what I told her. I was like, it'll be
Yeah.
great to
Yeah.
do and to tell people about, like, this is what happens to
Through
my
it
diabetes.
all, it seems to me that the challenges that you're now accepting and what you've done in the past is that you're always, as we said in the beginning, you're always training to be ready for something. So when the phone rings, you answer the call, and you can't get a better exemplum of than Goggins himself. So I think, like, again, I just want to thank you for what you did. The Goggins challenge is an amazing. It truly is. It's kind of just like, hey, you don't think of this as a type 1 diabetic endurance activity. And then for a type 1 diabetic to do it and manage it the way that you manage it, and then again to share it with me, we walked a lot step by step, the mindset, the physicality of it. This is gonna help somebody, even if they're not doing the Goggins challenge, this is gonna help a type 1 diabetic be able to manage their endurance event. Something that is running for long distance, endurance that's over multiple days with the lack of sleep. There's so many actionable items to take away from this. So I can't thank you enough for what you shared with me today. And I just want to say it excites me to see your enthusiasm about the future of being like, I'm not after one thing specific, but then this looks really cool. So like the Taco Bell 31 mile or 50K, that's awesome. So I'm gonna try that. And then maybe there'll be another cool thing after that. So that's just like with type 1 diabetes, it's really an awesome mindset to have.
I appreciate all you said there. I think and hope maybe somebody will see the videos. Maybe no, maybe nobody will. I just if somebody does, I hope they're encouraged. Um, and something I've tried to do: say yes first, and then figure out how to manage your diabetes around it. Right,
Yeah.
and don't think I can't. Think I can, but it might not look like what it looks like for everybody else, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But never say no outright. Say, well, maybe I can do that, and then think about it. Like, there's a lot that goes into thinking about these things. Like, I'm gonna have to think about a lot on that Taco Bell 50K.
Yeah.
But it'll be
But it
fun.
seems like you get excited about it.
Well,
Look at it as fun, a paradigm shift.
and that's the thing. Like, we are allowed to have fun doing stuff. We don't have to. People take themselves way too seriously now.
Yeah.
Like, like, yeah, I didn't Boston qualify. Who cares? I ran a great race. I said for 9 months that I was gonna Boston qualify. I came up short, but I still had a really good time. Right.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna continue to have fun.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, you completed a marathon, and that's a massive accomplishment within itself.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
well, thank you very much, Arnie, for joining me today. This was awesome. I think again, this was extremely actionable. And whether one person watches this or it reaches the millions of views for the first time in T1 Determined history, and I think that I always say, as long as we affect one person, we did our job here today. But I already know we did our job here because it was just a blast having this conversation. So thank you.
I appreciate that, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Arnie, for sharing with us today your disciplined and calculated mindset. It is clear that you will accomplish whatever you set out to do. And completing the 4x4x48 David Goggins challenge as a T1D is nothing short of true grit. Good luck on your Taco Bell 50K. And stay hard, mother. You can follow Arnie and his adventures on his socials at typerundiabetic. That is type_run_diabetic. For all our content, please visit t1determined.net. Connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and X at T1D_endurance and Facebook at T1Determined. Until next time, keep pushing your limits. I hope this helps. Stay strong, stay determined. T1 Determined.